All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're stepping into what you could call an intellectual gauntlet, the Indian Junior Science Olympiad. And let me tell you, this is not about just memorizing facts. No, this exam is designed to find the next generation of scientists by testing one thing and one thing only: how they think.
So, the real question is, could you pass it? I'm serious. This is not your typical high school exam. Let's jump right in and start with a field that just loves to mess with our intuition.
First up, physics. These problems are kind of brilliant because they often take what we think we know from everyday life and just flip it completely upside down.
Okay, let's kick things off with a cosmic heavyweight match. In one corner, you've got gravity, the force that holds entire galaxies together. And in the other corner, the electrostatic force. Yeah, that's the same thing that makes a balloon stick to a wall after you rub it on your hair. So, between two tiny little electrons, which force do you think is stronger? Take a guess.
Well, let me tell you, it's not even a fair fight. The electrostatic force doesn't just win, it absolutely demolishes gravity. It's stronger by a factor of, wait for it, 10 to the power of 42.
To put that into perspective for you, that's a 1 with 42 zeros after it. That number is bigger than the estimated number of atoms in the entire known universe. Just think about that. This shows you right away the exam isn't just about plugging numbers into a formula. It's testing if you can even comprehend this kind of fundamental scale.
Okay, let's try another one. Picture this. You're on the back of a truck. It's moving at a nice, steady speed. You take a ball and you throw it straight up into the air. Where does it land? Does it land behind you, in front of you, or somewhere else? What does your gut tell you?
Now, your gut probably says it's going to land behind you, right? I mean, it makes sense. The truck moves forward, so it leaves the ball behind. But physics has a little surprise for us. The ball actually lands right back in your hands. Why? The secret is inertia. See, when you throw the ball up, it's already moving forward at the exact same speed as you and the truck. So as it goes up and comes back down, it's still moving forward, perfectly keeping pace. It's a classic test of your intuition versus a core principle of physics.
Okay, so let's see how this whole logic over memorization thing plays out in biology. You might be expecting questions where you have to, name all the parts of a cell. But this exam, it treats biology more like a detective story.
So take a look at this problem. Imagine you're a scientist. You're given 4 mystery samples of nucleic acid. All you have to go on is this table, showing the percentage of their chemical bases. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to figure out what they are.
Now, you don't need a PhD in genetics for this. You just need 2 simple rules. Rule 1, in that classic double-stranded DNA helix, adenine always pairs with thymine, and guanine always pairs with cytosine. That means their percentages should be pretty much a perfect match. Rule 2, RNA is the odd one out. It uses uracil instead of thymine. Got it? Okay, let's play detective. Look at sample 1. Adenine is at 31%. Now look across the table, and what do you see? Thymine is also at 31%. Boom, a perfect match. What about guanine? 19%, and cytosine? Also 19%. Another match. And very importantly, there's 0 uracil. So, what's our conclusion here? Yeah, it's a textbook case of double-stranded DNA. See? The question isn't testing if you memorize the facts from a book. It's testing if you can use those facts as logical tools to figure out what the raw data is telling you. And that, right there, is a fundamental skill for any scientist.
So, another thing this Olympiad loves to do is bridge the gap between what's in a textbook and the real world around us. They give you these questions that look like simple riddles, but they're actually hiding some really deep scientific principles.
For instance, you've probably seen this, right? Trees being trimmed in your power lines. But have you ever wondered why trimming a few branches is totally fine, but if you were to chop that same tree down to just its trunk, it would basically be a death sentence for it? What's the difference?
Well, the answer is actually beautifully simple. It all comes down to photosynthesis. The leaves, they're like the tree's solar panels and its kitchen all rolled into one. They use sunlight to create food. So if you remove all the leaves, you've literally cut off its entire food supply. The tree basically starves to death. It's such a direct link between something we see all the time and a really fundamental biological process.
All right, so that same idea of producing energy is at the heart of our next challenge. But we're going from the super slow pace of a tree to something much, much faster. We're talking about a cheetah. And to understand how a cheetah can do what it does, we need to talk about something called aerobic respiration.
All that really means is it's the process our cells and cheetah cells use to turn food and oxygen into pure raw power.
So, check out this problem about a cheetah sprint. This is where the exam really shows its teeth, because it's not just a biology question. To solve this, you actually have to start with a chemical equation from, chemistry class. Then you have to use concepts like moles to calculate the energy needed, and finally, you have to use math to figure out the volume of oxygen. It's this incredible fusion of biology, chemistry, and math, all wrapped up in one real-world problem.
And finally, we get to the questions that are just pure brain teasers. These are the ones designed to see if you're clever enough to find a neat little shortcut instead of just, grinding through a bunch of boring calculations.
All right, get ready for this. Look at this number. It's over 124 billion, and you're told it's the product of 3 consecutive numbers, one right after the other. Your job? Find their average. Now, sure, you could just start multiplying random numbers together, but you'd be here until next week. There has to be a trick, right? So what is it?
Here's the beautiful, elegant solution. It's got 2 parts. First, think about this. What's the average of any 3 consecutive numbers, like 2, 3, and 4? It's always the middle number. So, if we can just find that middle number, we found our average. Okay, part 2. If you multiply 3 numbers that are right next to each other, the result is going to be really, really close to that middle number multiplied by itself 3 times, or, cubed. So, that middle number we're looking for is basically just the cube root of that giant, scary number. See? The exam is testing your number sense, your intuition about math, not just your ability to punch buttons on a calculator.
So, after running through this whole gauntlet, what have we actually learned? What is this scientist's mindset that this whole exam is really searching for?
When it comes down to it, this exam isn't really about what you know. It's all about how you think with what you know. It's that ability to see the law of inertia in a simple thrown ball, or to play detective with a DNA sample, and to find that clever, elegant shortcut in a math problem that looks totally impossible. It's about weaving together ideas from different fields to crack a single problem. Albert Einstein really nailed it when he said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing." And that's the core of it, isn't it? This exam, it's not just a test. It's really a search for those people who are driven not just to get the right answer, but to actually understand why it's the right answer.
Because honestly, just passing a test like this isn't the real prize. The real prize is developing a whole new way of seeing the world, a world that's governed by these elegant principles and this beautiful logic just waiting for someone to uncover it. So the final question isn't really whether you could pass the test. The real question is, what will you question next?